Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into something that's probably sitting in your kitchen right now, something so common, really, so affordable that we almost never stop to, think about it.
The humble egg, yeah. We
Yeah.
crack them open pretty much every day, right? For breakfast, baking, maybe a quick hard-boiled snack. But you're right, our sources show there's some surprising depth hidden inside that simple shell.
Absolutely. And that's what this deep dive is all about. We want to lift the lid on this everyday object. Explore just how many layers it really has. I mean, from its powerhouse nutrition all the way to its ancient journey through symbolism and even its role in art.
Yeah, challenging artistic expression even.
Right. So our mission really is to help you see the egg, maybe not just as food, but as this small, potent package full of history, culture, and maybe even some profound meaning.
It really is fascinating how something so commonplace can hold so much. Today, yeah, we mostly think of it as just an easy, cheap source of protein. And, well, it is. It's one of the most accessible sources globally.
That's true. Though eating chicken eggs as routinely as we do now, that's actually relatively recent in the grand scheme of human history. But humans likely recognized the concentrated nutritional punch in some kind of eggs way back, prehistoric times even. That benefit must have been obvious.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe because of that inherent connection to life, to sustenance, the egg started picking up all this symbolic weight. It's kind of surprising, but across different beliefs, it's become a symbol linked to both birth and sometimes even death.
Which, speaking of different perspectives, leads us to a slightly, well, a different take on the egg. Did you know the filmmaker Alfred Hitchcock, the legendary director, had this intense fear and revulsion towards them?
Oh, yes. I found that detail so striking. He actually suffered from ovophobia. It's a real condition. He had this quote about it, didn't he? Saying he was frightened of eggs, worse than frightened, they disgust me. Something about the white round thing without any holes.
Exactly. He said, have you ever seen anything more revolting than an egg yolk breaking and spilling its yellow liquid? He even compared the sticky yolk to blood, but claimed blood was better because it was like clean red, whereas the yolk was yellow and horrible. Apparently, he never ate one in his entire life.
Wow. It's such a visceral reaction, isn't it, to something so many of us just take completely for granted. And honestly, after that situation in the U.S. recently,
Yeah.
remember with the bird flu and Easter demand, prices for a dozen eggs just shot up.
Oh, I remember. Past 950, wasn't it?
Yeah. Maybe even someone without ovophobia felt a little bit of fear then. It certainly made their economic value incredibly clear all of a sudden.
That price surge really did underscore how central they are, not just nutritionally, but, culturally, especially in places like the West. They turn up everywhere, from breakfast to holiday traditions like Easter egg hunts, even at the White House. And that digital term Easter egg for a hidden surprise in software and media, that comes directly from the tradition.
Totally. And building on that practical and cultural foothold, let's really zoom in on why they're so valuable, so deeply ingrained. That nutritional power. Our sources really make a strong case for the egg being, well, what they call perfect protein.
Okay, perfect protein. That sounds like a pretty big claim. What does that actually mean, in terms of what our bodies need?
Right, so it gets that label because of the amino acids it contains. Our bodies use 20 different amino acids to build all sorts of things, but we can only make 11 of them ourselves, the other 9.
Yeah.
They're called essential amino acids because, well, it's essential we get them from food.
Got it. So the egg provides all 9 of those essential building blocks that we can't make.
Exactly. It contains all 9 and in the right proportions for us. That's why it gets classified as a complete protein.
And the numbers themselves are pretty impressive when you look at it. An average egg gives you over 6 grams of protein, all for just about 70 calories. That's really efficient nutrition, isn't it?
It really is. But the goodness doesn't stop there. Eggs are packed with other vital nutrients too, like choline, for example. That's crucial for brain development, and there's research looking into its potential role in helping prevent Alzheimer's.
Interesting. And something maybe closer to home for many, like vision, they have those antioxidants, lutein and zeaxanthin.
Yep, those help protect your eyes. Plus, that great combination of protein and healthy fats really contributes to satiety. That feeling of fullness and satisfaction after eating them.
It really does make a compelling case for calling it a complete food. And just on a purely practical level, they're usually cheaper than meat or fish, incredibly versatile, easy enough for almost anyone to cook.
Right, even total novices.
And a boiled egg! Talk about the ultimate portable protein snack. The benefits just seem to stack up and up.
Definitely. Yeah, maybe we can shift gears a bit. Moving from that practical side to something much older, maybe more profound, the egg has held this deep symbolic meaning across so many cultures for thousands of years.
It's fascinating how its connection with resurrection actually predates Christianity. You find it popping up in ancient spring rituals, celebrating the earth, waking up, returning to life after winter. It even appears carved on tombs and stones around the world, a symbol of life's persistence, its return.
And that whole tradition of decorating and gifting eggs, that goes way back too. Like the ancient Egyptians offered them to their gods, and then that evolved over time. In medieval times, wealthy families started giving decorated eggs to their servants.
And I suppose, as you'd expect, when gifts become status symbols, the decorations just get more and more elaborate, which eventually leads us to those absolutely breathtaking Fabergé eggs, crafted for the Russian emperor late 19th century, just incredible works of art.
Unbelievable things, jewels, mechanical surprises inside. One of those famous Fabergé eggs actually sold for around 25 billion Korean won.
Wow, what's that in US dollars?
Roughly $25 million. dollars.
25 million. That's quite the journey from a humble offering to the gods, isn't it?
Quite the upgrade from dipping it in food coloring, yeah. Yeah. And the core idea behind this enduring resurrection symbol is, well, it's simple, but so powerful. A new life, full of potential, just emerges from inside that seemingly inert shell.
Right. That visual metaphor is so strong, so universal. It connects directly to ideas of new beginnings, life, birth, reproduction, abundance, fertility, all across different cultures.
Exactly.
And this concept, this idea of hidden potential, the life or meaning contained within that simple, often fragile shell, that's also part of what makes the egg such a compelling subject for artists, I think. It really sparks the imagination.
Yeah, our sources definitely highlight how it's frequently used in art to symbolize femininity. It can encompass everything from, nascent life and creation to fragility, even destruction or brokenness.
And you can't really talk about eggs in art without immediately thinking of Salvador Dali, can you? It was such a recurring motif in his work.
Oh, absolutely. For Dali, the egg was incredibly rich with meaning. He saw it representing this duality, strength in its form, but also incredible fragility. He used it to symbolize creativity, conception, that very primal state of human existence, almost like being in the womb. He even saw the shell as that boundary between our inner world and, well, the outer reality.
Which explains why you see those massive, really striking egg sculptures perched right on top of the Dali Museum in Figueres, Spain. They're sitting there as this bold symbol of the birth of art, the creative spirit itself.
And it's not just confined to painting either. Eggs pop up symbolically in film, too. Think about Olivia Wilde's movie from 2022, Don't Worry, Darling.
Oh, right. There's that specific scene, isn't there? Florence Pugh's character, Alice. She's making breakfast, just routine, and she cracks an egg only to find it's completely empty inside.
Exactly.
That moment feels like it directly triggers her realization, doesn't it? About the superficiality, the emptiness in her controlled life, her role.
Right, the empty shell mirroring that emotional void.
Yeah.
And similarly, in the film The Hours from 2003, the egg is used visually. It sort of discusses emotional fragility, maybe subverts some traditional female roles tied to domesticity.
There's that particularly poignant scene, Meryl Streep's character, Clarissa, she's making cake batter, and she breaks an egg. The act itself seems to trigger this emotional release, maybe even a breakdown. And that broken, unhatched egg becomes this powerful reflection of her feeling trapped by domestic pressure, maybe feeling unfulfilled or broken herself.
It really is remarkable, isn't it, how this single, simple form can carry such profound weight, representing potential, fragility, new life,
Yeah.
but also, depending on the context, emptiness or brokenness. It's all contained within that one object.
So when we kind of connect all these different layers, thinking about the egg not just as, a cheap, easy meal, but also as this deep historical symbol of life and resurrection, an artistic subject representing creation and vulnerability, and even a visual metaphor for our emotional states.
You start to see that the humble egg is genuinely far more significant, far more fascinating than we typically give it credit for. It's just packed with history, culture, nutrition, and all these layers of meaning, all wrapped up in that familiar shell.
Yeah. This deep dive has certainly shown us the surprising depth found within this most everyday of objects.
Absolutely. It really makes you pause and consider the stories hidden inside things we completely take for granted sometimes.
So here's maybe a final thought for you to carry forward from this. The next time you see an egg, whether you're cracking one for breakfast, buying a carton at the store, or perhaps even spotting one in a piece of art, Does knowing all of this change how you look at it, even just a little? Does it make you pause for just a moment? Maybe ponder the hidden potential, the fragile boundaries, or the millennia of symbolism contained within that small, simple form?